This video is made with the sponsorship of Ecrotech New Zealand, one source for all your beekeeping requirements. Hi, Trev here on Facebook and YouTube. Well, this is part 2 of making boxes, and this is going to be putting handles in the ends. Now originally, like most people, I used to make my handles in this manner. But I found that they do sometimes sit a little bit of water in there and they can cause a little bit of rotting. And so with a little bit of thought and playing around and a few mistakes, I've come up with my version of a D handle. And I'm going to show you how I make these and how you can make a jig if you want to do the same thing. One of the things I need to say is that this blade is a 315mm, so I can actually cut a nice wide handle in one cut. I do not have to move my endwise. It is just in one location. So that makes this a little bit different. Some people have only got a 10-inch saw, their handle won't be as wide. Mine's fairly deep. I make mine down to 16mm, so the gap left of timber is only about 3mm, but that's okay. So the first thing I've done is I've removed the writhing blade out of there, and I don't need the cover over the blade. Trust me, this is still safe because I've made a big jig that sits over the top of the saw bench. I've made it so it all locks down because this has got fittings and fixtures all in here, so it all locks down into the one position. It cannot move, and you can see how that just settled down into place. First thing I do is I set the height of the blade. And that's close enough. It doesn't need to be exact. So long as it's near enough will do. No, everybody off. No. A little bit of off cut. That's the height of the saw. So that leaves me a nice 3mm gap. Now, what happens here? I've got a little sign on here saying that the rebate needs to be over this side. And I've got some adjustments that I can make here. This is set up for doing 3/4 supers, the honey supers. If I take this board out, this next gap here is for full depth boxes. And if I put this piece in, I can make that into do half depth boxes. Or I can do the rebate handles for my nuke boxes. And what happens is that I put the board in here in an action like that. So that sits up against here. I have a hand hold here, which I can get my fingers in, but I've got a board in here so I can't stick them through there and get them into the saw. Put the first cut in, then I lift it up and I slide it sideways until I hit this little wall, this little circular wall. And then from there I can then, holding it flat on the wall, I can push it down until it sits into position. If that sounds complicated, we can simplify it. Rather than having all this, I used to have a wall that was there, that block went from there across to there, and that done the original style handles. So now we're going to make these D handles. We've only got 6 of them to make, so it's not going to take long. First cut. One handle, all done. Show you blowing it. Alright, so that's how I make my handles. As you can see, it didn't take long to make those 3 boxes worth. Takes me a couple of hours to make 100 boxes worth, that is, so a couple of 100 handles. Not very long at all. So that's it for Trev on Trevs Bees, Facebook and YouTube. Next video, we're going to assemble these boxes, and we'll see you around in the beehive.